Hey everybody, and welcome to the Mainstream. This is the first episode of the Mainstream, and first off, I wanted to mention that this is going to be like an ongoing show that's going to be like uh, mostly every week. I think on the start of the months we'll take a break, but then the next week it'll go again. So anyway, to begin. Since this is the first episode, I want to talk about a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a while, since I had heard about it, and just never got off my butt to do it. And I thought, well, for the first episode, this should be it. So I decided to do Honey Boy, which isn't, I don't know, it kind of falls into the indie film cafe kind of thing too. It is like more indie spirited, I guess, but I think it's a mainstream movie. I feel like it should have gone up for Academy Awards if it didn't, so I did not look into that. But so we're gonna talk about it a little bit. It's basically Shia LaBeouf's autobiography about his life story as a biopic, and it kind of reminds me a little of the Disaster Artist in the sense that it portrays a character who is definitely not the most lovable character in the world, but kind of makes you feel for him in a way. And Shia LaBeouf brings that out. Brings out his dad, played by Shia himself, and he basically ends up helping his kid out on sets and everything. He's his on set person. If you know, like, I remember seeing the Project Greenlight show and seeing Shia in that, and his mom was in the backstage. You never saw his dad, and I think there was a lot of tension or whatever with him and his dad. And they kind of split, and that was a lot of what this was about. Was like him getting arrested, which was years later. He actually got arrested, I believe, in 2017, and then went to rehab and went to these like therapy sessions, and that's kind of what you see. You see half of the story is the character that Shia's, that is supposed to be Shia, Otis Lort, and you see kind of his life, as in rehab, as a 20-year-old or so, and then you see him, and back in the early 12-year-old days. I don't know if all of it is true or if some of it is made up. Very well could be that some of it is made up and some of it is not made up. I don't know. I do like that toward the end of the movie, and I guess I'm going to put spoilers on here. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. Go check it out. So there will be some spoilers on here. But I like at the end of the movie how, he talks to his dad and he says, "I'm writing a movie about you." And his dad looks at him and says, "Well, you better make me good," or something, And he does. I think he does do a very well, very good, like, thing with his dad. Like, I guarantee that movie itself must have been really, really hard for Shia to do, because not only did he have to probably go back and remember a lot of stuff that was very painful memories and everything about his past, but it's also, he had to look into the perspective of, like, somebody else. He had to go into his dad's, life and and make him sympathetic enough where you didn't hate the guy the whole time. I mean, there were times where you really, really liked this dude. And I didn't know if it was because of the way that it was. I'm guessing it was because of the way that it was written, but I didn't know if it was because of the way it was written or because of the fact that, he just was portrayed so wonderfully by Shia, that I almost, I could see, like, the love, in it. And I think that might have been also with the dad. I think that the father, his real father's name, I believe, is Jeffrey LaBeouf. And I did a little bit of research while I was watching this, and I found out that like a lot of that stuff is actually true. Like he got arrested for for sex of for raping a minor, and in this movie, in this story, he says he didn't really do anything, but he would have or something. It was like an attempted rape or something. I don't know what exactly. I didn't go into detail, in depth look into the life of this guy because I honestly, I kind of don't want to do so much of that because it's just, it's not, I don't need to know that information. It's a private matter of that guy. What I want to know more about was like some of the stuff is actually true. So like I said, so like the stuff on like the sex offending stuff, and the dad was a heroin addict and the dad was a alcoholic and all of these different things, those were definitely true. So I applaud that he actually went and really went into this stuff. And like I said, it must have been really difficult for Shia. And I really feel kind of, as a person who's struggled with my own issues and my own demons, sometimes like getting those out there and like writing them down, and then for him turning it into a freaking screenplay for everybody to freaking see. I mean, it's tough. It's absolutely tough, and it is a hard thing for someone to even think about doing. And the fact that Shia himself just went in there and did that is just, to me, that just is the sign of not just an amazing actor, but an amazing person, an amazing writer. And the fact that he's never, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but as far as I know, he's never written anything else, especially not of this caliber. So for him to do something like this and completely, I mean, it just goes back to, like, I used to see all those things with Shia say, just do it, or whatever, trying to amp people up. He fucking went out and he made something so profound, that probably helped him out with who he was, because he had some serious PTSD stuff, issues going with himself, and I'm sure this was just a very cathartic kind of story, and I love that. Like, I thought that was amazing. I think Honey Boy is definitely one of those films that Oscar type films, that just really grip at you. I found it to be, I like the fact that it kind of reminded me a little bit of Good Will Hunting, with the therapist talking to him and him just getting frustrated the whole time, but then it does something different. It goes into his past, so we definitely get to see, because that was the one thing in Good Will Hunting that you never got to really see, Will Hunting's past. He kind of talks about it, but he never, it's never that. So I like that. Like, I loved what they did with it. They tried to make it as original and different as possible, but also it feels familiar. It feels like a familiar storyline kind of thing. And definitely the idea of also reminded me of Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a movie like this. I think that he directed, if I'm recall. Shia didn't direct it, but I'm kind of glad he didn't. Not because I don't think he could have directed it, but I feel like for him to like focus his energy and his talents on bringing the character to life, James Lort to life, I feel like it needed him to be not doing 10 tasks. He just wrote and he acted. Like, I don't think he produced. So he just worked on those things. He just concentrated on that stuff, and he was phenomenal. If he had directed, I feel like it would have still been probably wonderful, but it might have been a different story. It might have looked different. It might have felt different, but also he would have been different. because he wouldn't have been able to concentrate on everything. And I feel like a lot of times actors tend to want to direct instead of just write. They might write and direct and act in it, and it just becomes too much. When Joseph Gordon-Levitt did it, it was wonderful too. I enjoyed his performance, but I think that this one was amazing. Honey Boy is just flat out phenomenal, and I mean I love that kind of stuff. Like, I love films like this, so I was just happy to watch it. I didn't know how well it was gonna, how good it was gonna be, because I hadn't really heard much about it. That's another thing why I wanted to review it for the mainstream, was because I've heard a few things and some people talk about it, but not enough people. And I feel like this is a film that should be talked about. It should be watched. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it today. It is amazing. It is definitely a film that I feel, because Amazon Studios is very picky about the stuff that they put out, and and I absolutely adore a lot of their content. So a lot of their content will probably be on the mainstream, but that's what I wanted to focus on, was this film, and I feel like this film is definitely a wonderful, wonderful movie. So if you have not seen it yet, please go see it. There's not going to be much more spoilers than the fact that he talked to his dad at that point. There's just little things throughout it. A lot of stuff you can see in the trailer of him growing up, and the 12-year-old kid version and the 22-year-old or so. I think it's supposed to be like 10 years later or so. And he's in jail. It's the same issues that Shia was having. I mean, it's pretty much like he just wrote what he knew exactly. And he created, he took memories and childhood stuff and just put it into the things. And a lot of times when you do that, you're risking a lot of stuff, because the truth sometimes is very hard to swallow. People don't like to know the truth about what happened when kids were younger or whatever. I applaud the 12-year-old kid's parents of the Otis when he was 12, because they allowed him to smoke, or at least had the cigarette in his mouth. I don't think I really saw him smoke much, much, but the fact that they had that, I mean, I thought that was, I applaud the fact that they really tried to make it go for realism. This movie, I felt, was definitely something that should be talked about, and should be watched. And I hope that you guys get a chance to see it sometime soon, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you liked the movie, give me your thoughts. Let me know. If you didn't like the movie, you thought the movie was boring or not as much fun or something, I thought throughout the whole thing I could watch. I'm very hard to keep my interest, and this movie just kept my interest. It's mainly due to Shia LaBeouf's character of James Lords, because he's like, the whole time he's just very, I don't know, he's just very good. I like him. So if I were you guys, I'd watch it. Check it out. Let us know what you guys think. And check out the mainstream. More episodes are coming. It's not just going to be reviews. Understand, we are going to do some videos where I'm going to talk about certain mainstream series, or sagas, or filmmakers, or actors, whatever. There's going to be different topics on each one. This one has to be a review. Next one will be something else. I haven't even shot it yet, so who knows. But we'll see. But I'm very anxious for this. I can't wait to be a part of this. So some more, and to give you guys more content for Indie Film Cafe. So thank you guys for checking this out. Hope you enjoy it, and keep checking Indie Film Cafe for more content. Thank you. Bye.